Hebrews, Hebrews, Hebrews. This is Prophets of Awakening. This is our men's advanced Bible study, 28th of November, 2025. We'll be dealing with, for our Bible reading is, why did they erase David? African blood from the scriptures, okay? You go to our YouTube channel, The Prophets of Awakening, check out our videos. We have over 1,000 or so videos that you can look at, examine, get the meat out. These scriptures to lead you to the truth of the Holy Scriptures. And if you like what you're hearing and receiving, I'm asking you to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. It'll be greatly appreciated. For those that want to support the channel, help it move along, we have our Cash App at the bottom of the screen. Okay, this channel was created to aid and assist our Hebrews who are waking up to their true identity and understanding who their Savior and their Redeemer truly is. Okay, and for those that don't know, this is a non-Messianic channel. We deal with the Tanakh and the Torah. Tanakh being the Old Testament, so-called Book of Remembrance, and the Torah is the first 5 books of the Old Testament that was given to Moses by our Savior and our Redeemer and our Deliverer, the Lord of Hosts. Shalom and welcome to this channel, and welcome to our men's advanced Bible study. We're going to do our normal, which is a moment of silence, prayer, psalms. We have some current events, some need to know information. Then we open it up for any questions, any comments, dialogue, or testimonies. And then we're going to our topic for discussion. And it's the craziness of Rome and America connection. How deep it goes. Okay, we're going to look at that, look at the comparisons to ancient Rome and America today. Okay, and like I said before, we will be dealing with our scripture reading, or about the scriptures, is why they erased King David from the scriptures. Okay, his African blood. Okay, and then we'll pick a scripture. We'll break the scripture down. We'll read it, then we'll break it down, and then we'll close out. Okay. Moment of silence for the Lord of Hosts, and all that He's doing to bring about our prophesied deliverance in these last days. Oh Lord, we come before Thee at this hour on your day that You have given us for rest, praising You and honoring You because of Your position both in heaven and upon the earth, a position in which the Creator Yahweh have given unto Thee. And through Your Spirit and counsel, O Lord, we have awakened. We have awakened to know who we are as a people and who You are as our Savior and our Redeemer. And we are thankful for all that You have done, and we are eagerly searching out the scriptures that we may be at the right place at the right time upon Your arrival to this planet. We love You and we seek You daily, O Lord. There's none else besides Thee to redeem us. And we see You in the affairs of the world, and we faithfully await Your deliverance. Peace be unto You. Okay, read a psalm right quick.
Right, yes, sir. And Brother Leonard, I'll read Psalm 63, Thirst and Soul, Psalm of David. And it says, O God, Thou art my God. Early will I seek Thee. My soul thirsteth for Thee. My flesh longeth for Thee in a dry and thirsty land where no water is, to see Thy power and Thy glory, so as I have seen Thee in the sanctuary. Because Thy loving kindness is better than life, my lips shall praise Thee. This will I bless Thee while I live. I will lift up my hands in Thy name. My soul shall be satisfied as with marrow and fatness, and my mouth shall praise Thee with joyful lips. When I remember Thee upon my bed and meditate on Thee in the night watches, because Thou hast been my help. Therefore, in the shadow of Thy wings will I rejoice. My soul followeth hard after Thee. Thy right hand upholdeth me. But those that seek my soul to destroy it shall go into the lower parts of the earth. They shall fall by the sword. They shall be a portion for foxes. But the king shall rejoice in God, and everyone that sweareth by Him shall glory. But the mouth of them that speak lies shall be stopped. And shalom, that's Psalm 63.
Okay, appreciate that information. Okay, we'll go currently do. We'll play them and then break them down. You have something on that, Tom?
No, sir.
Okay. Here we go.
Breathing impeachable offense. Donald Trump is facing an impeachment trial again. No president has ever been impeached twice, and no president has ever gone on trial after leaving office. It's fair to say we're in pretty uncharted territory. So what's the case against him? Donald Trump is accused of inciting violence against the government. Specifically this, the storming of Congress by thousands of his supporters. But his accusers say you have to go back a couple of months to last November's presidential election.
We know there was massive fraud. That was a rigged election. If you count the legal votes, I easily win.
Trump lost, but refused to admit it. Not only that, but when the state of Georgia was getting ready to hold a second round of voting to settle two very close Senate races, Mr. Trump is accused of trying to intervene illegally.
I only need 11,000 votes. Fellas, I need 11,000 votes. Give me a break.
It all came to a head on January the 6th, when Congress was due to confirm the results of the presidential election. In a long, bitter speech, Mr. Trump railed against the entire election process.
We fight like hell, and if you don't fight like hell, you're not going to have a country anymore.
Within minutes of him finishing, some of his supporters were breaking into the Capitol building. But did the president actually incite violence? America's First Amendment, which protects freedom of speech.
Okay, so I need you to listen very carefully right now, because what is happening in Washington is unlike anything we have seen in modern American history. Congress is not just talking about impeachment anymore. They are not just filing papers and making symbolic gestures. More than 100 lawmakers, we are talking over 120 House members and at least 7 senators, are now publicly demanding that Donald Trump either resign from the presidency or face removal through every constitutional tool available. This is not hyperbole. This is not me exaggerating for effect. This is actually happening right now on Capitol Hill. Lawmakers are going on camera. They are putting their names on the record. They are standing up in front of the American people and saying, this president needs to go. Either he steps down voluntarily, or we are going to use impeachment, and we are going to explore the 25th Amendment, and we are going to do whatever it takes to get him out of office before he does any more damage to this country. This is a full-blown confrontation between Congress and the President of the United States, and the stakes could not be higher. But before we go any further, real quick, let's be honest, you can't really trust mainstream media anymore. That's why we built Pump Politics, to bring you real stories, real context, and no corporate spin. If you want to stay ahead of the headlines, join our free newsletter. We'll send the news straight to your inbox every day. Just click the link in the description to join. And if you just want to support what we're doing, join us. Be part of the community that actually cares about the truth. All right, let's get back to the video.
Gives Mr. Trump lots of leeway to say pretty much whatever he wants, short of ordering his supporters to storm the Capitol, which he did not do.
I know that everyone here will soon be marching over to the Capitol building to peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard.
It'll be up to the Senate's 100 members to decide if Mr. Trump is guilty or not. And the Democrats will need at least 17 Republicans to join them to get a conviction. It's a really tall order. Most Republicans think the trial shouldn't even be happening.
This proceeding we are about to enter is unconstitutional.
But what if it does go against him? Well, then Donald Trump will be the first president to be impeached and convicted. He'd almost certainly be barred from ever running for public office again. And he could lose his presidential pension and perks. But what if he wins? The Democrats could still try and find some other way to punish the former president, but to survive impeachment twice in a year would, in the eyes of Mr. Trump's loyal base, represent another victory against an establishment that's just out to get him. A useful platform, perhaps, on which to launch another presidential bid.
Let me tell you what triggered all of this, because the details here are absolutely crucial. Multiple impeachment resolutions have now been formally filed in the House of Representatives. We are not talking about one angry congressman making a statement. We are talking about detailed, comprehensive articles of impeachment that lay out specific charges against Trump for high crimes and misdemeanors. H. Resolution 353 was introduced earlier this year, and it contains 7 7 separate articles of impeachment. This thing is massive. It accuses Trump of obstruction of justice. It accuses him of usurping Congress's power over spending. It accuses him of abusing trade powers and war powers. It accuses him of violating First Amendment rights. It accuses him of creating unlawful offices within the government. It accuses him of bribery and corruption. And it accuses him of what they are calling tyranny, a systematic effort to destroy democratic institutions and concentrate power in his own hands. 7 articles, 7 categories of alleged criminal and unconstitutional conduct. This is the most comprehensive impeachment case ever brought against a sitting president, and it is sitting there right now in the House of Representatives waiting to be acted on. And that is not even the only one. Representative Al Green filed another impeachment resolution, House Resolution 537, focused specifically on Trump's abuse of presidential war powers. The argument is that Trump has been using military force and making war-related decisions that belong to Congress, not to the president. He has been acting like a king when it comes to matters of war and peace. And that is a separate impeachable offense on top of everything else. House leaders moved quickly to table that resolution, meaning they pushed it aside procedurally, but the text is now part of the official record. It is documented, it is on file, and it can be brought back at any time. So we have multiple impeachment resolutions with detailed charges sitting in Congress right now. And in response to all of this, lawmakers are not just waiting around to see what happens. They are actively calling for Trump to resign. The footage coming out of Capitol Hill is incredible. You have lawmakers standing in front of cameras demanding that Trump step down. You have press conferences where members of Congress are laying out the case for why Trump cannot be allowed to stay in office. You have viral clips spreading across social media of representatives and senators saying, enough is enough. This man is a threat to the Constitution. This man is a threat to democracy. He needs to go now. And some of them are not just talking about impeachment. Some of them are openly discussing the 25th Amendment as a backup option. The 25th Amendment allows the vice president and a majority of the cabinet to declare that the president is unable to discharge the duties of his office. It is normally thought of as something you use when a president is physically incapacitated, like if they had a stroke or went into a coma. But some lawmakers are arguing it could be used here too. It's an obstacle to be overcome rather than a co-equal branch of government, a presidency that has turned the executive branch into a vehicle for personal power and personal enrichment. And that is why over 100 lawmakers are now saying Trump has to go. Because if all of these allegations are true and the evidence supporting them is substantial, then Trump is not just a bad president. He is a threat to the constitutional order itself. He is exactly the kind of president the impeachment power was designed to remove. All right, so let me break this down into what it actually means and why you should care about it, because this is not just Washington drama. This is about whether the Constitution still works. This is about whether there are any limits on presidential power. And this is about what kind of country we are going to be going forward. Let me give you the key takeaways from everything we have covered. Point number 1, Congress is using every tool in the constitutional toolkit. This is not just about impeachment anymore. Yes, there are multiple impeachment resolutions on file with detailed charges, but lawmakers are also openly discussing the 25th Amendment as a potential backup option. They are publicly calling for Trump to resign. They are putting maximum pressure on the president from every possible angle. The message is clear: step down voluntarily, or we are going to use every constitutional mechanism available to force you out. That is an extraordinary escalation. That is Congress essentially issuing an ultimatum to a sitting president. And it tells you that the people who are closest to this situation, the lawmakers who see what is happening up close, believe that Trump poses such a serious threat that extraordinary measures are warranted. They are not waiting around to see if things get better. They are not hoping Trump will moderate his behavior. They have concluded that he has to go one way or another, and they are willing to use whatever tools the Constitution provides to make that happen. Point number 2, the impeachment articles are unprecedented in their scope. Trump was impeached twice during his first term. Those impeachments focused on relatively narrow issues: the Ukraine phone call and the January 6th rally. They were serious charges, but they were limited in scope. What we are seeing now is different. HRES 353 contains 7 separate articles covering a vast range of alleged misconduct. It is a comprehensive indictment of Trump's entire approach to the presidency. You know?
Okay, got any feedback on that?
Shalom. Yeah. You had mentioned, Brother Leonard, that they sound like they done with it.
Now go ahead.
I was saying you mentioned it. You had mentioned that it might be done with Trump. You know, this video kind of sound like it, because you know, this sound like more pressure than the other time they was talking about impeaching him.
Right, exactly. Yeah. If he's still in there by the time the midterms, it might not be no America.
Yeah, right. Yes, sir. And because that's what I was just about to say too. You had mentioned their plan to like stop the midterm election that didn't really work. Yeah, so
exactly.
Right, yeah, it's gonna be interesting here soon.
Oh yeah, exactly. Okay. So with that being said, get over here. Gotta play this video here. This right here is tied to what I was saying about years ago about what Pastor Manny said. Check it out.
Deportation protections, and this could affect a lot of people.
President Donald Trump says he is taking action to end legal immigration status for some Somalis in Minnesota, effective immediately.
He didn't went from the Mexicans. Now he's 70,000 Somalis.
Post on True Social says Minnesota, under Governor Walz, is a hub of fraudulent money laundering activity.
We know what our president has done. It is an attack on our community.
A massive fraud scheme uncovered in Minnesota found money intended for social services has been allegedly siphoned indirectly into the pockets of the Somali terrorist group Al-Shabaab.
This is wild.
Somali immigrants in Minnesota have reportedly been abusing systems meant to help the most unfortunate among us, including the latest federally funded autism services. The autism fraud scheme reportedly amassed $14 million through Medicare claims for services that were never provided, involving kids who never had autism. And the Somali immigrants behind this web of schemes have allegedly stolen billions from taxpayers, much of the money going back to the Somali government, where it would then end up in the hands of terrorists.
Trump took to social media Friday night, claiming that Somali gangs are terrorizing the people of that great state.
99.99% of the Somali community are hardworking.
Okay.
They're good neighbors. We're trying our best.
Somali community.
I'm sure he's right, but it sounds like you got some real crime here.
From the country's current affordability crisis.
Investigators say once that cash arrived in Somalia, Al-Shabaab took a cut, whether the sender intended that or not. Minnesota is home to one of the country's largest Somali communities. Former state fraud investigator Keish Magan, himself a Somali American, wrote last year that it's uncomfortable and true that nearly all defendants in these major fraud cases come from that community. The U.S. Attorney's Office has charged dozens of defendants across multiple schemes, including housing aid fraud, pandemic child nutrition fraud, and false billing for autism therapy.
So it wasn't just medical.
Total, prosecutors say these schemes have cost Minnesota taxpayers billions of dollars.
People that legitimately could use those resources that are not getting those resources.
Right. Housing.
It's past criminal.
Critics claim Minnesota leaders have tiptoed around the issue, fearing a backlash from the state's powerful Somali American voting bloc.
So you mean that's what it sounds like? Sounds like people want to stay in power at all costs.
And if you notice, Pat, Tim Walz and Ilhan Omar kind of quiet last week.
Yeah, it's their turf.
We talked about all the fraud. It's allegedly been carried out by members of the Somali community. Okay.
Billions of dollars. And look at this.
10 years in prison.
10 years.
For defeating our future fraudsters convicted in the first trial for the pandemic meal fraud scam. Abdi Majid Noor and his co-defendants stole $47 million.
That's crazy.
In their part of the $300 million scheme. They claim to serve 18 million meals at phony sites like the Small Empire Cuisine and Market in Shakopee.
Insane.
Noor's job was creating the fake meal counts and invoices, plus the rosters filled with made-up names of kids. He used fraud money for a trip to the Maldives and to get a college degree, spending...
This guy just got 10 years in prison. This is a small group of people, apparently, who...
Of what's been going on.
They didn't want to look. Wow. And that would explain why now it's the U.S. attorney looking into it rather than the state law enforcement. They gave up on fraud. investigators. Is there any indication, Ryan, as you get, and obviously, it's one of those things you drop an investigative piece, and then all of a sudden you get 1,000 more tips.
Yeah, right.
That this goes higher, like actually into state government. You get the last 30 seconds.
It might.
I can't confirm that. So I don't want to get out in front of my skis here. What I can say is that this story has generated additional tips, and it is something that we are continuing to look into as we push forward with our efforts to expose the fraud rings that have been taking advantage of the generosity of Minnesota taxpayers.
All they have.
Okay, what you got? What you think?
So they're saying that Somalians ran the $300 million scheme out of Minnesota.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
And then they, not only that, they funding the money to terrorist groups in Somalia.
Right.
And there's some. So like I said, all of a sudden now it ain't about the immigrants no more and the border. Okay, it's black folk, Negroes.
Africans.
Right? Africans. And then you know what you see what they trying to do with Nigeria?
Right.
So they're going right, they're heading they're heading right toward what Pastor Manny said.
I can see that.
Oh yeah. Is that something?
Right. That's interesting.
Oh yeah. Okay. So with that being said, I'm going to this next one is this here is a doozy. Okay. It's another one of those wake-up calls and to let you know where we at in the scheme of things. Check this out.
Hey, Ryan Reynolds here. Right now, Mint Mobile is off.
This right here is crazy. Okay. Get around this saying.
Breaking out the shackle that was bound.
Okay.
From the tribe of Yehuda.
Here we go.
Today's message is important. It's a correction, a clarification, and a commitment.
Check this out.
Because the last thing I ever want to do is mislead anyone who listens to these episodes, watches my videos, or reads my posts. My intention has always been, and will always be, to walk in truth, to correct errors, and to restore the pure language of Yahuwah. Let's talk about it. You may have noticed something. I don't use certain words anymore. Words like Elohim, El Elyon, El, Yashar El, Ruach HaKodesh. And I know some of you have been wondering, Pierre, why did you stop using those terms? Why the shift? Here's the truth. Those words, even when used with good intentions, are not pure Abarit, and many of them carry pagan, Greek, or Masoretic corruption. And I refuse to continue traditions that distorted, polluted, and covered the original language Yahweh gave to his people, Yashar Al, and to himself. A lot of people don't realize this, but the pure Abarim language, the language of Yahweh and Yashar Al, originally had only 3 vowels, A, U, and I, but I was never a vowel, only a Y sound. There was no E, no O, no I vowel, and none of the Masoretic endings like Im, I, Od, etc. Those came hundreds and thousands of years later through Greek, Latin.
Notice what he said. What the Masoretic done was bullcrap.
And rabbinic systems. Once you remove the foreign vowels, the names and meanings return to their original purity. Yahweh, not Yahweh or Jehovah. Yahusha, not Yeshua or Yahushua or Yahshua or Jesus. Yasharal, not Israel. Musha, not Moses. Shalomah, not Solomon. Auram, not Abraham. Yachak, not Isaac. Ya'akub, not Jacob. Restoring the vowels restores the identity, meaning, and covenant. This is the pure language Yahweh promised to restore in the last days. Zephaniah chapter 3, verse 9. We're simply returning to what creation heard. From this point forward, and as many of you have already seen in all my posts, I've been using the pure forms. Alwa, the mighty one. Al, the short form of Alwa. Yashar Al, not Yashar El. Ruach Hakadash, the pure form, not Akodesh, and many other purified Aberith terms. Why? Because the pure language matters. It carries identity. It carries covenant. It carries the restored names of Yahweh and Yahusha. And if I know better, I must do better. Let me address something honestly. The Sefer translation helped many discover the name of Yahuwah. It opened doors. It woke people up. I am not denying that, but I must also tell the truth. The Sefer is still corrupted with pagan influence terms, Masoretic vowel errors, Greek influence replacements, words like El, Elohim, Kodesh, Yasharel, and errors in some verses. It's not entirely wrong, but it is not pure. And because of that, I cannot continue using it as the foundation of my language, neither fully trust it. I promise you, under many of my released videos, pinned comment, and even on my unreleased videos pinned comment, that I would address this. And I know some of you asked me when I will make the video addressing it and correct this. I meant every word I said. I refuse to carry errors. I refuse to pass down confusion. I refuse to mislead anyone in the remnant, even unintentionally. This correction is part of my obedience. Let me say this clearly. In my past videos, and even in the next 8 scheduled videos, you will still hear words like Elohim, Yashar El, God, and Ruach HaKodesh. You will also hear those terms in my old intro song too, because that audio was created before I restored the pure language. I cannot go back and change all of those recordings, but I can correct the path moving forward. And that's what I'm doing. Another thing you may have noticed, I now quote from the Eswiti scripture, Scriptures Yahuwah Dabar. Why? Because this is a project that I and one of my tribal line brothers, Akdon, fundraised and established for the remnant. I speak Alua, not Elohim. I speak Yasharal, not Yasharel. I speak Ruach HaKadosh, not Kodesh or Holy Ghost. I speak the pure tongue he is restoring to his people. If you love set-apart music, check out all my songs, playlists, The Remnant Awakens Suno, worship songs, and Certified Remnant Awakens Bangers playlist. If you love history, check out the Narrow Path audiobook series for the Kardashian playlist. And
okay, what you think?
Zephaniah 3. I mean, it it makes sense. I and I don't know for sure, but I know he's waking certain people up in different ways, and he might have been, shown some of the language.
Right.
What do you think about that, Brother Leonard?
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm gonna keep checking on it. That channel is The Remnant Awakens, if you want to check it out.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm gonna check it out. Go look at some of the other videos he got, but that just hit me. When he was talking about the pure language, and then how he was changing those. But you notice how he had JC in there.
Right.
But yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna keep my eye on it. So like go to my need to know information. Okay. Okay. So I just did. I had to read and see. Yeah. So now I'm opening up for some Q&A. Anybody have any questions, comments, or anything you want to shine light on? You came across last night or during the week, whatever.
Right. Yeah. So, yeah, yes, sir. Last night you were on another platform, and I forgot the name of it. Or I would have gave him a shout out, but you were on another platform yesterday, and Castleberry, right? And so you were trying to show him Daniel 9:25, and could you talk about why that's important? Because that is once I learned that, I did understand that is one of the biggest holdups, and because everybody thinks that's JC, and so the brother last night that we were talking with, he stronghold on JC or Yahweh Shah, whatever he thinks his name is.
Right.
Right, and that's the
right.
whole.
So when you understand that, when they came back, when they came, when they got hotel records, right when Alexandria passed away, then his four generals took over. Bartholomew, one of Alexander's generals, he's the king of the South, and he took over Egypt. So when he got to Egypt, he demanded that the Egyptians make him a god like Osiris was. So they made him a god. They made him into a god, which is Serapis. They made him, and that was the first white god in Africa when they made him. So that started the process. So by the time you get to Constantine, they done put Constantine looking for a god because he just brought the Roman Empire. He just regained the Roman Empire. It was a Roman Republic. Now it's the Holy Roman Empire. He renamed it. This beast that was and was not, but did live. So then now he need one religion, one God, and one emperor. So now he need a God and a religion for that. That's why up until that point, the Roman Empire didn't deal with the Christianity because they knew where it came from. It came from Caesarea, which was Cleopatra and Julius' son that Augustus had killed. So anyway, but now he's in a fix. He need a religion, so he went and he got that Christian religion, but he needed a God too. So that's when Serapis came into play. At the Council of Nicaea, he brought, like I said, you got 16 crucified saviors. It's a book out there. You got 16 crucified saviors, which are dying and rising saviors, idols that the European created. And so they brought those saviors along with Serapis to the Council of Nicaea to come up with a God for that. And then when they got into it, they dialogued about it, and then they ended up with Zeus, because quite naturally going to be Zeus. He's one of the gods, one of the remainders, and I can't think his name out of India. Krishna out of India because of the population. That was the biggest population, one of the ancient world populations. And so the Indians with Krishna and Zeus was the last two they had left, the Serapis. So what they did was combine them. That's how you get Krishna Zeus, which eventually became Jesus the Christ. And that's how you get the God. So I'm saying all that. Now they used another technique they got from the Egyptians, which was typology, how to place an event or a person anywhere in a book, anywhere you want to put him at. All you got to do is deal with the content and that's in there, and then you can place that person. You can remove a person or an event and put another event there or person there. So where they went to is Daniel 9:25. It's actually Zerubbabel was there. When you understand who that is, the Lord of hosts got a covenant with David that he's always going to have a man out of his lineage on the throne in Israel. So Israel was in captivity in Babylon, but before they can leave Babylon, that descendant of David had to be identified. And not only that, the descendant out of Aaron had to be identified with the high priest. So Daniel 9:25 is the Messiah in Daniel 9:25 is that prince that's going to come out of David's lineage in order for them to return back from Babylon. So power of these people at the Council of Nicaea, like Josephus and all of them, that's where they plug JC in it. When they hoodwinked our scriptures and putting JC in there, right there was where they started it. And they said that JC, that's JC. And that's the reason I go there, because it's not him. And it's a ample evidence to show you that it ain't him. So in the average person, the diehard Christian or the diehard Hebrew Christian, he gets the problem. When it's being broken down, they get fidgety. Because it's plain. Once the scriptures start being brought forth, they got a problem with it, because it's plain. And so that's what I continue to say, that's the golden cord. Daniel 9:25, that the events surrounding that is where they went to plug JC in at, but not knowing that the Lord of hosts had something else in mind in the last days with that same situation, because now it's being exposed in a brutal way. Okay. Got anything else?
Right. Yes, sir. It's being made clear. And so, Brother Leonard, then another one too, and not to go into it, but necessarily, well, however you want to answer. But the Isaiah 9:6, the wonderful counselor part.
Right. Yeah. So, like I was saying, when you understand how typology works, they already hoodwinked another situation when the Lord said he called his son out of Egypt. They went to Matthew and they put JC there. They made JC the son. The Most High had a son hidden in the bush. So the son that we dealing with in the Old Testament is the nation of Israel. That's and where you get that from is from Hosea chapter 11 verse 1. And then when Moses was sent to the Pharaoh, the Lord of hosts told Moses to tell the Pharaoh, let his son go. So the son is Israel. And then Hosea chapter 11 verse 1 says, when Israel was a child, I called my son out of Egypt. JC ain't the son. The nation of Israel is the son. So after they established that, now you go to Isaiah 9:6. Let me read that right quick. And like I say, you first have to have the understanding that who the son is. In order to debunk any of this stuff, you gotta understand who the son really is. So you go to Isaiah 9:6. Okay. And it says, for unto us a child is born, and unto us a son is given. The government shall be upon his shoulder, and his name shall be called Wonderful Counselor, the Mighty God, the Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. So how you rightly divide that when you understand who the son really is, and also the son is a son always promised. Like I said, out of David lineage, it's a son always promised or given that's going to be on the throne of David. Okay, so when you go back to Isaiah, which is where we at, it just has nothing to do with Jesus Christ. So you go to the very first chapter 1, verse 1. The vision of Isaiah, the son of Amos, which he saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem in the days of Uzi. So in the days of Uzi, Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah. So the covenant that he had with David is, which is for people that want to know, you can find it in 2 Samuel chapter 7, starting around verse 11 to like 18. But he says he's always going to raise David going to always have a son on the throne. But we know that it's a wicked ones came on the throne. But his covenant with David is that he's always going to raise up a righteous son. It may be 2 or 3 of them wicked that come, but before he allow Israel to go all the way to the dogs, he'll raise a righteous king up like under David, like David. So we see that. We saw that in Solomon. We saw that in Jehoshaphat. We saw it in Josiah, Hezekiah. They was fulfilling the promise he got to David. He's always going to raise a righteous son up to turn the nation of Israel back to him. So, like I said in Isaiah, when you go back to look at these 4 kings that I just mentioned in verse 1, the first 3 is wicked. They're wicked as hell. We know Uzi was wicked. Ahaz is wicked, right? So we're going to go to kings and look at that, because that's the listing of the kings, what they done, and they got it in succession when they ruled. So I want to go to kings right quick. Won't take long. So we go to first king, second king. We see captivity. Yeah. So I'm in second king. We gotta find Hezekiah. Let me find get it in a minute. Okay, so we see right here in chapter 16, it says, we know about Ahaz, how wicked he was. So I'm in chapter 16, 2 Kings 16, verse 1. In the 7th year of Pekah, the son of Remaliah, Ahaz, the son of Jotham, king of Judah, began to reign. 20 years old was Ahaz when he began to reign, and he reigned 16 years in Jerusalem, and he did that which was right in the sight of the Lord, his God, like it says, like David, his father, right? But we know Ahaz went to the left. Okay, he went to the left. Let me get that. So right here, verse 8 says, Ahaz took the silver and the gold that was found in the house of the Lord and in the treasury of the king's house, and he sent it for a present to the king of Assyria. And the king of Assyria hearkened unto him, for the king of Assyria went up against Damascus and took it and carried the people of it captive to Kir and slew Rezin. And the king Ahaz went to Damascus to meet Tiglath-Pileser, king of Assyria, and saw an altar that was at Damascus. And King Ahaz went to Uriah, the priest, the fashion of the altar and the pattern of it, according to all the workmanship thereof. And Uriah the priest built an altar according to that of the king, according to Ahaz had sent from Damascus. So Uriah the priest made it against King Ahaz, came from Damascus. And when the king was come down from Damascus, the king saw the altar, and the king approached to the altar and offered thereon. So it's wicked. And he burnt his burnt offerings and his meat offerings, and he poured his drink offerings, and sprinkled the blood of his peace offering upon the altar. And he brought also the brazen altar, which was before the Lord, from the forefront of the house, from between the altar and the house of the Lord, and put it to the north side of the altar. So he moved the Most High, what the Lord of hosts had showed Moses the bill, and what David and them the bill, he moved it out the way and then put the altar that he saw the king of the Assyria had. So you don't get no wicked in that. So the first one was Uzi. He was wicked. His grandfather. Then his daddy was Jotham. Then Ahaz came on the throne. So that's 3 wicked kings back to back. So now Ahaz. I'm reading out of 2 Kings 16. So it says that Uriah is gonna die, right? So here you go. I'm in chapter 16, verse 16. Thus did Uriah the priest according to all the King Ahaz commanded him, and King Ahaz cut the borders of the brazen altars and removed the laver from off of them, took down the seed from off the brazen altar that was under it, and put upon it a pavement of stones, and covered the covert for the Sabbath that they had built in the house, and the king's entry out turned he from the house of the Lord for the king of Assyria. Now the rest of the acts, here we go. Ahaz, which he did, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Judah? Now here go my point. 20. This is 2 Kings 16:20. And Ahaz slept with his fathers. So 3 kings been in Israel. Israel in total darkness. Ahaz slept with his fathers, and he was buried with his fathers in the city of David. Now here you go. Here go the righteous branch right here. And Hezekiah, his son, reigned. We know Hezekiah righteous. So now you go to Isaiah 9 and 6. Go to Isaiah 9 and 6, and then you're gonna see. I'm in chapter 8, Isaiah 8. You got to come back in order to understand this. So I'm in Isaiah 8, and I'm gonna start reading at 20. And the law to the testimony, if they speak not according to the word, it is because there is no light in them, and they shall pass through it, hardly bestead and hungry, and it shall come to pass that when they shall be hungry, they shall fret themselves and curse their king and their God, and look upward, and they shall look up unto the earth, and behold trouble, darkness, dimness, and anguish, and they shall be driven to darkness. So this darkness he's talking about is these three, the wickedness these 3 kings brought. Now we in verse 9, and it's the birth of the Prince of Peace. That's Hezekiah. Let's read it. Nevertheless, the dimness shall not be such as was in her vexation, when at the first he slightly afflicted the land of Zebulun and the land of Naphtali. And so notice it. Notice this. He says the wording. Nevertheless, the darkness shall not be such as was in vexation, when at the first he lightly afflicted the land of Zebulun. So this ain't got nothing to do with JC, right? And the land of Naphtali, and afterwards did more grievously afflict her by the way of the sea, beyond the Jordan, in the Galilee of the nations. The people that walked in darkness, see that these 3 kings, wicked kings that have been on the throne, the people that walked in darkness have seen a great light. They that dwell in the land of shadow of death, upon them have the light shine. This Hezekiah took the throne. Thou hast multiplied the nations and not increased the joy. They joy before thee according to the joy in the harvest, and as men rejoice when they divide the spoils. For thou hast broken the yoke of his burden, and the staff of his shoulder, the rod of his oppressor, as in the day of Midian. For every battle of a warrior is with confused noise, and the garments roll in blood. But this shall be with burning and a fuel of fire. Now here you go. For unto us a child is born. It's Hezekiah. Unto us a son is given. The government, go back to the covenant he got with David. The government is upon his shoulders. And his name shall be Wonderful Counselor, the Mighty God, the Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. Right? Of the increase of his government, peace, there shall be no end upon the throne of David. Here go the covenant. We're going to see who it is that's ordering this covenant. And the peace, there shall be no end upon the throne of David and upon his kingdom, to order it and to establish it with judgment and with justice from henceforth, even and forever. Here you go. The zeal of the Lord of hosts will perform it. That's who got the covenant with David. He got an oath with David that he always going to bring a righteous seed on the throne. So Joktan, Ahaz, Uzi, Joktan, and Ahaz came and reigned. Then Hezekiah came. That's the Prince of Peace. That's the son they're talking about right here. But like I said before, they didn't set you up with all this, what they did with the scriptures, how they did with the typology. That they're telling you that Yahweh got a son hidden in the bush. And then in Daniel chapter 9:25, that's him. But the average person is void of understanding that the Lord of hosts, this angel got a covenant with David. That he always gonna have a righteous son on the throne of David. And so the way they set it up is they lined it up according to and synchronize it with that, but it's not the truth. It's a deception. Okay, does that make any sense?
Right, yes, sir. And when I seen this one right here, the first time this was broke down, and even this time you just went even more in depth. But when this was broke down, it made more sense, because even when you read this Isaiah 9:6 in the King James, they got these words capitalized and things like that. And
right.
So, yes, sir. So it throws people off. When you see
they juiced it up.
Right, exactly.
They juiced it up, and then you have these Hebrew Christians and Christians hollering about the mighty God, the everlasting Father. There can't be, you know what I mean? But when you understand David's role and the power that he gave David, you understand you understand that. He's sitting on the throne that's in Jerusalem is the throne that's ruling the whole world.
Right, yes, sir.
It's the Lord of hosts throne. What you say?
You said it's the Lord of hosts throne, and I was saying the King of Kings.
Right, yeah, it's the Lord of hosts throne. You put David on it. Like I said, when he told Samuel, go and anoint him, I found me a king. He didn't say that about Saul.
Right.
Right. So yeah, you have to understand that. So like I said before, when you understand what I was just the covenant that he got with him, then you go back and you'll see all these places where they didn't took their understanding out for the reader, and then they didn't pose what they wanted to put in there, and so you got to go along with it because you don't know nothing else. So you're going along with what they've been saying. But once you find out, you get to meet and understand what's really going on, then you understand what's happening. Okay, so like, for example, I want to shine a light on this because this came up last night, back over here in Daniel. You know what I'm saying? And when you're dealing with Daniel 9:25, so it's so much. Like I was saying, when you understand who the priest and the Levite, and the weight and the burden that the Most High, the Lord of hosts, put on their shoulder, these are highly intelligent men. So what they've done, and then we in these last days, this all this. I was dealing with the brother with Daniel 9:25, but they want to not rightly divide that and break it down and get the meat out of it. They want to go to 26, and 26 is more complicated than Daniel 9:25. You got to deal with Daniel 9:25 first, then you got to deal with 9:26. Like the brother said, it's complicated. It's got to be broken down by somebody that knows what it is, the creator, then shine a light on it. And so, and then even before you get to 925, you got to deal with 23, 24. It says, at the beginning of the supplications, the commandment came forth, and I am come to show thee. Gabriel coming, like I said, these Levites and these priests, they talking to these angels. Ain't no other man on the planet talking to them. So he says, the commandment came forth, and I have come to show thee, for thou art greatly beloved, therefore understand the matter. Right? See that? Understand the matter and consider the vision. So what's the matter? Verse 24. 70 weeks are determined upon the people and upon the holy city to finish the transgression and to make an end of sin and to make reconciliation for iniquity and to bring in everlasting righteousness and to seal up the vision and the prophecy and anoint the most holy. So that's got to be broken down. So 24, 25, and 26, you got to be sitting on the right horse. To understand that. If you don't, you dust in the wind. So 24 says 70 weeks are determined upon thy people and upon the holy city. So what are you talking about? 490 years. 7 times 70 is 490 years. So what is he talking about? Well, they got a law that Moses gave them. They're just like we have to keep the Sabbath. 6 days it's for man. The Sabbath is for man. 6 days you work. The 7th day you rest. Well, you got 7 days, 7 years for the land. 6 years you till the ground, and the 7th year you allow the ground to rest. They didn't do that. They had got away from that. Remember, they found the book of the law down in Hilkiah found the book of the law down in the bottom of the temple in the chamber. They had thrown it away. They weren't dealing with it, so he brought it up to Josiah. And then Josiah rent his clothes. So for 490 years, they had been keeping this law. That's the scene. Let me read it. 70 weeks are determined upon thy people and upon the holy city, because they weren't keeping that law. That's 490 years. That's 70 weeks. Then it says, to finish the transgression. What's the transgression? They doesn't do this law. This law right here. They hadn't did for 490 years. That's the transgression. Then it says, so now you gotta repent of that and make it up. Then he says, and to make an end of sin. So how you gonna make an end of sin? You gotta go lead the land. That's why they went into captivity for 70 years. In order to make this up, that he had to cause the land to be desolate so he can keep those Sabbaths for 70 years. So he carried the Israelites cast out of the land. So he can make this up. So he says, and to make an end of sin, that's to clean that up, and to make reconciliation for iniquity. So after the 70 years, when they come back, they done made reconciliation. They only come back. They come back to the land after that. That's a reconciliation. And make reconciliation for iniquity, right? And to bring in, see that? When they come back, they bring in everlasting righteousness and to seal up the vision and anoint the most holy. So that the most holy is the Holy of Holies. So you can't, if you don't understand that, you can't even try to deal with 25. And if you don't understand 25, you definitely can't deal with 26. So, like I said before, when you look at that and you half-ass learning man, let me get a book and let me sit my ass over here and let me listen. Because it's over your pay grade. And Negroes want to start feeling the same type of way because this is over your pay grade. And then you can't figure out how the hell the Creator gave it to me. Okay? Because you ain't gonna go to Yale or Harvard and get this. That when the Pharaoh had the dream with the 7 7 cows and the 7 years of corn. He ain't go to Alexandria, Egypt, and got the information, got the right information. He went to the Creator. Come on.
Brother Lyndon, he was they said they wanted to witness to you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I was just like, yeah, if you could just listen to the information and then, you know, go back in your own time and disprove it. But, you know, I thought the information should have just been able to be broken down like how you just did.
Exactly. Well, yeah, I mean, you mean, like I said before, when you go to Isaiah 44, 1-5, he said he's going to pour his spirit out. What the Israelite, he said he's going to pour his spirit out on that seed. The Israelite is going to get that. He's going to recognize that it's the truth.
Right.
He ain't going to fumble with that. Come on.
Right. It's precept upon precept.
Right. Exactly.
You know, because when we would explain to him about the chronological order of the books, how Daniel, you know, would have to be before all of those other books, you know, except maybe Jeremiah, but you know, the books are out of order now. You know, he didn't even understand that.
Right, and like I said, that was elementary, because the sin was the 490 years. That means that the 490 years have passed. They can't be a sin if they haven't performed them already. They already performed the sin. The 490 years. Now the 70 years is in the future.
Right.
And so you looking for the fulfillment of that in the future, but where it's at, it's in the books they got behind the book of Daniel. In front of the book of Daniel. They didn't flip the books around. So then he turned around and say, you going backwards. No, you ain't going backwards. Get those books and put them in front, put them behind Daniel. That's all you gotta do.
Right.
Like they did with the Sefer. Huh?
Oh yeah, yes, sir. With the Sefer Bible.
Yeah, that's all you gotta do. Get the books and put them where they go. And then you understand what's going on. Okay, yeah. You got anything else?
No, sir. Just that 70 weeks. That's had been the biggest part to me to understand. You know, I'm hoping if anybody else had listened to the breakdown that they do understand that, and even on the replay.
Right, exactly. Yeah, you start out with 490 years. That's a 6 years you get for the earth, which is the woman. That's the Most High's woman, the earth. So 6 years you till the ground. The 7th year you allow the ground to rest. That's a law in Israel, and if you don't keep it, it's a sin. Which is a transgression. That's the transgression in Daniel 9:23 and 24. So in order to fix it, you got to leave and however many years it was that you didn't, Shabbat years that you didn't let the ground rest, you got to get out. He's going to put you out and allow that to make up for those years, and then you bring back in righteousness and start back over again. It ain't that hard. So they transgress the law for 490 years. You get 70 Shabbat years out of there. So they had to leave the land and go to Babylon for 70 years. And then when you get to Daniel 9:25, they at the end of those 70 years. And that's what he's telling them. It's the time has come. The streets gonna be built again, and the walls from what Nebuchadnezzar tore down because they didn't keep the Sabbath years. So he brought Nebuchadnezzar, tore it down, and what you read in 9:25, the 70 years is up, and they're gonna come back. That's when you go to Ezra. Ezra brought the commandment. Go ahead.
You said 70, we didn't keep 70 Shabbats, so we had to serve 70 years.
You're right, to make up for the 70 Shabbat years that you didn't allow the ground to work, rest. So when you really want to understand that you ain't allow the Lord of hosts woman to get her 70 years of rest. That's what he set that law for, to allow his woman to get her rest. Because the earth is the most highest woman. Let's look at it. Let's look at it right quick. So I'm thinking that it's in, matter of fact, I think I know, it's in Isaiah 60. Let's look at it. Okay. Let me see. Nope, not 60. I think it's 60. 63. 62. I'm gonna start reading at verse 1. For Zion's sake, see that? It's the woman. For Zion's sake will I not hold my peace. For Jerusalem's sake I will not rest until righteousness thereof go forth as brightness, and the salvation thereof as a lamp that burneth. And the Gentiles shall see thy righteousness, and all the kings thy glory, and thou shalt be called by a new name, which the mouth of the Lord shall name. Thou shalt also be a crown of glory in the hand of the Lord, and a royal diadem in the hands of thy God. Thou shalt no more be termed forsaken, neither shall the land, see this? Neither shall the land anymore be termed desolate, but thou shalt be called Hezbollah, and thy land Beulah, for the Lord delighteth in thee, and thy land shall be married. So that's the woman. It's the Lord of hosts woman. So when they didn't keep them, when they shunned, they rejected his woman for 490 years, it's a problem. Okay. Ain't that something?
Right, yes, sir. And there's a definite consequence for that.
Right, exactly. Ain't that something? So you say you're good, right?
Right, yes, sir.
Okay, here we go. This is a topic for discussion. I thought this is informative. The reason why I'm playing it. Okay. Okay. It says the crazy Rome and American connection goes deeper than you thought. Here we go.
Hello, family. Welcome back. I hope you guys are doing great. I'm going to go over some very interesting things real quick that will answer a lot of questions for those of you who wonder what we're talking about when we say we never left Rome. And I never really fully comprehended how deep this goes. I knew that the symbols were there in our faces all the time, and we've gone over some other really creepy and satanic connections that you see when you look at some of our biggest and most famous iconic statues and the ones on top of the buildings in DC, New York. They use the wisdom of the fallen and our inability to see things that are right in front of our face, like we're just blind.
Exactly.
And they put these things out there, and people love them. We all grew up loving the Statue of Liberty, but it's like the veil had just yet to be lifted off of our eyes, and so many things just slip right through the cracks. But one thing that I just found out the other day, and I've been wanting to share this, but I've been extremely busy. There is some connections to Rome and America that are mind-blowing that I had never heard of. I don't know how I had never heard of this. To some of you truthers, you've probably heard this years ago. This is brand new to me, and I'm guessing it may be to others. But Rome and America do have some really strange connections. I'm just going to jump right into it, and you'll see what I'm talking about, because a lot of people look at the prophecies in Revelation and Daniel about 7 mountains and all that. You know, I guess it says 7 mountains, but it's also a word for hill. And the thing is, there's a lot of places like that, with Washington, D.C. being one of them, being built on 7 hills. These hills have names. But that's not where it gets interesting.
Yeah, that's crazy right there, because he got it right here. It says the 7 hills, right? Capitol Hill, Meridian Hill, Floral Hill, Forest Hill, Hillbrook, Hillcrest, Knox Hill. That's all in Washington, D.C., in the area, okay?
Let's look at the original name of Washington, D.C. Back before it was known as Washington, D.C., this land on 7 hills had a name. What was that name? Rome. No kidding. You can look this up. Rome, Maryland. And this is probably old news for some of you. I did not know this until the other day. I was just aware of the Rome connection because of the symbols that they have. I'd never really looked much further into it than that. But DC was known as Rome, Maryland. And the guy, listen to this, this is going to blow your mind. The guy who owned it, the guy who owned the land, the plot of land where the Capitol building was, his name was Francis Pope. And I was on a Catholic website looking up some information as I was digging through all this. And they said, yes, this guy's name was Francis Pope, and his nickname was Pope of Rome on the Tiber. Because there was a little creek that went through there that they had named the Tiber. And if you don't know, the Tiber River is in Rome. And we have a Pope called Pope Francis in the year 2021. You cannot make this up. I thought this was something I could just fact check and be like, this is wrong. I'm going to fact check it. It's wrong, like the Facebook fact checkers. But no, there is a guy, or was a guy, named Francis Pope on the property records, and the place was called Rome. That's not where it ends. It does. It always gets deeper and deeper. There was a guy who owned the 10 square mile area that DC is on. The owner of that community was a man named Daniel Carroll. He was the chairman of a 3-man commission appointed by President George Washington to find a suitable location for the Capitol. And he was also one of the names on the Declaration of Independence. He was a Roman Catholic educated by Jesuits in Maryland and France. This goes way deeper than you could imagine, and it reveals so much about where we are right now in the world. It seems like all of the predictive programming has pointed to this time, and all of the things that they did in the foundation of America to have a Francis Pope, and now we have Pope Francis. It was called Rome back then. And my wife has always said that Rome, to her is like the beast, and that wound is healing. And that's what it seems like to me. I'm not saying that's what it is. That's something you can decide for yourselves. But the connection we have here, and a lot of people claim that I am anti-Catholic and all of that, and they get angry. I am not anti-Catholic. Some of the best people I know are Catholic, but like all denominations and religions, the enemy's hands have been in there throughout it. That's why there are hundreds of churches around where I live, but not one of them is interconnected like a body. They are all divided. And that's sort of the way the enemy works, is to divide the branches of believers, Muslims, Christians, Jews, Catholics. All of it's a divide unless you get to know the true Father, and it starts connecting you. The truth about creation has connected me with so many different denominations and believers and Muslims and Christians. It's amazing. Truth is powerful. It sets you free, and it sets the blinders off so that you can start seeing who we really are and who our Father really is. And it lets you dig deeper into truth. And one thing about the Jesuit connection, these people were considered soldiers of God. That was sort of the guys they used. And I'm not saying none of them were. There might have been some, but some of those people were used to carry out the education of the heliocentric model across the world. And this logo you see here on the oldest church in Washington, D.C.
Okay, I'm going to shine light on something right quick. We continuously going to Numbers 18 when you to identify who the suffering servant is.
Right.
So this is they did the same thing right here. They turned the Jesuits. They doing the same thing that Yahweh, the Lord of hosts, did with the Levites. They did it with the Jesuits. Okay.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah.
He happens to be called the Holy Trinity, and that goes even into the spirit of the Antichrist, and will upset a lot of people if I bring that up. But I really don't care. The truth is really important. I'm not here to have a big following, but to expose the works of the evil one. And this logo itself, of course, some of you will get a kick out of that. 32 rays. That was just me looking this up on the internet about that symbol. 32 rays, as seen here. That number they like to flash everywhere. And I thought it looked a bit familiar. So I was like, where have I seen that before? And then I remembered that really old picture of Helios on the heliocentric model. Right there, exact same copy and paste sun rays on that logo. Just another little connection, kind of like Mr. Sun God Worshiper over here. But if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's this picture here. It's older than when it was actually let out. The guy passed away before this picture became popular. But even if you guys don't know what I'm talking about with the Jesuits, here's one of them who created the Big Bang version that we go by today. This guy right here. His name is Georges Henry Lamatri or Lamont. I don't know how you say his name. I'm probably butchering it. But that guy right there next to Albert Fraud Einstein. And he's created the Big Bang. And he was supposed to be a soldier of God. And he totally erased the true creation story. And it has stuck. And it's why people get so angry when you expose that lie, because it has to do with the spirit of the Antichrist. I'm not going to go into a full-out lesson in this video about.
Did you know that linen is the only
Barack Obama was the Antichrist, and that's not far from the truth. These people are of the spirit of the Antichrist, and I'll read these real quick just to refresh your memory if you haven't looked into this for a while. In 1 John 2:18, February, right around the whole pagan Valentine's Day. That'll be my last weekend working as a coach, and I'll have weekends off and weeknights more open so that I can do live hangouts and videos again.
Yeah, so you want to check that out. That's the channel is Founded Earth Brothers. So you want to check it out. You got any comments on that?
When that connection you just made with the Jesuits being the fake Levites, that makes a lot of sense, because I've seen that name before, but I haven't known much about their specific role, in the Roman, the whole Roman thing.
Yeah, the Catholic Church made an army, and that's them, the Holy Army, just like the Knights Templar with the red flag on their back.
Right.
Same way the Creator did. He took the Levites from among the people, and the Levites weren't doing all this doing his work for him. They did the same thing with the Jesuits.
Yeah, trying to make it seem like the judgment.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
And then they revered, because now they didn't put that same way how people was afraid of Solomon or Samuel.
Right. Yes, sir.
They did the same thing, right?
Okay.
And Hitler did the same thing. That's how you know there was a figurehead behind him, because he came with the Gestapo the same way. And that's what Trump trying to do with MAGA. Yeah. So that's how you know it's the same people from back then, the same ones behind this. These are the people we dealing with is figureheads, nut buckets. Okay. So yeah, so with that being said, I play this last video, then we'll pick a scripture. This is why they erased King David from the. Let me play it.
claim the legacy of the Bible itself. David is a lie. The man who killed a pale-skinned European warrior with flowing blonde hair, a Renaissance prince in royal robes. Yeah, that's what they wanted you to see. But here's the thing nobody tells you. Every single painting you've ever seen of King David is a lie. The man who killed Goliath, the shepherd who became Israel's greatest king, the ancestor of the Messiah himself, he didn't look anything like those paintings. And the reason why is about to blow your mind. Because hidden in the pages of the Bible itself, buried in genealogies that pastors skip over, concealed in family trees that scholars avoid discussing, there's an undeniable truth. King David carried African blood, not metaphorically, not symbolically, literally. His grandmother was African. His great-great-grandmother was African. The women who carried the royal bloodline into his veins came from the same lands, the same peoples, the same ancestry as the continent of Africa. And for 2,000 years, the most powerful institutions in the world have worked overtime to make sure you never knew that. They whitewashed the paintings, they rewrote the history books, they created an entire false image of what ancient Israel really looked like. Why? Because if people knew the truth about David's bloodline, it would shatter everything they've been taught about race, about power, about who gets to claim the legacy of the Bible itself. Tonight, we're going deep. We're pulling back the curtain on one of history's greatest cover-ups. We're going to trace the family tree they never showed you in Sunday school. And by the end of this video, you'll never look at the Bible the same way again. Are you ready? Because this is the story they never wanted you to hear. Let's start with a simple question. Why do all those famous paintings show David as a white European? The answer isn't religious.
Watch what magnesium does to your bowel.
Why does Grandma?
Starting in the 13th century, European artists began recreating biblical figures in their own image. It wasn't an accident, it was intentional. Renaissance painters, working under the patronage of kings and the Vatican, transformed Middle Eastern historical figures into pale-skinned Europeans. Why? Control. Think about it. If you're a European monarch in the 1400s claiming divine right to rule, what do you need? You need the heroes of the Bible to look like you. You need Moses, David, Solomon, all of them to reflect your image. Because if they look like you, then you can claim their authority, their legitimacy, their divine mandate. This wasn't just about art. This was about power. The royal families of Europe used biblical imagery to justify their rule. They commissioned paintings, sculptures, tapestries, stained glass windows, all depicting biblical kings as European royalty. It became so widespread that by the 1600s, nobody even questioned it anymore. But here's where it gets darker. When you erase someone's African ancestry, you're not just changing their skin color in a painting, you're erasing their actual heritage. You're removing their connection to an entire continent. You're stealing their identity and replacing it with a lie. And this lie had consequences. Because if David, the greatest king of Israel, the man after God's own heart, carried African blood, then so did his descendants, including, according to Christian tradition, Jesus himself. That's a problem for people who built empires on the belief that Europeans were superior. That's a problem for institutions that justified slavery by claiming Africans were cursed. That's a problem for anyone who wanted to use the Bible to prove that white people were God's chosen rulers. Ancestry in King David's lineage. European Christians wanted biblical heroes to look like them. Colonial powers wanted to justify their domination of Africa. Racial ideologists wanted to prove white superiority. And academic institutions, often funded by these same power structures, went along with it. They didn't falsify evidence, they just ignored it, or reinterpreted it, or dismissed it as inconclusive.
Ain't that what the Negroes doing? Ignoring the evidence.
Yes, sir.
You know, not only did they put with the scriptures, but they sold that same spirit in these Negroes. Okay. Yeah, you got any comments on that? You want to check it out? That's Mind Twist 40. There's the channel.
Twist 40. Yes, sir. And but you did say that's what they're doing now, and that they don't want to look at the evidence. You know,
Right.
one thing I remember that y'all had in one of the earlier videos, you and Brother Kev, when was about the slave voyage. You know that website where it had the manifest.
Yeah, slave voyage.
Right, yes, sir. And so when I seen that, I was like, wow, that was just one thing, another piece of evidence to be able to connect those dots to where you can't deny, you can't deny this that we the people.
Exactly. Yeah, and like I said before, then now back just 10, 15 years ago, it wasn't, all you need is these six books. Ain't nothing wrong, ain't been tampered with. Then when the evidence got so overwhelming, now they believe that something happened over here, a little something happened over there, but they don't realize that this book got butchered. It was shredded. Just like we were scattered, the word was scattered. That's what they don't understand. And now that we at the end, the Creator's bringing it out, bringing all the truth back and the lies, you're starting to see it. And it ain't for the faint-hearted. Okay. You got something else on that?
And then Brother Leonard, so I'm sorry, back to the Roman thing real quick. Did you think it's any truth to that? As far as
Yeah, I believe it. Yeah, I believe it. Because you got to, I don't mean to cut you off, but same way with, they said that it's the same way they did with that, they did with they came with, when you understand it's Edomites. Those 13 colonies, those were Edomites. So they came over here naming landmass after the names that was over there. They came over here actually this place was originally it was New Jerusalem.
Right.
And that's what these Negroes coming in on the ass end of it, talking about these names over here. No, they brought these names over here. And they naming stuff from over there, they named it over here. So that's the same example. Okay.
Okay.
What is his name? The dude, a Mormon. What is his name? The one that wrote the Mormon book?
Oh, yeah, I can't think of his name, but I know the book.
Yeah, they came over here naming all these different landmass, different areas after, and rivers and names after names they got from the Bible. And then now Negroes coming in at the end of it and talking about that's the actual place. And it ain't the actual place. And they did that all over the place. Look what he did with Alexandria. He went all the way to Alexandria, Egypt, and named the Alexandria, Egypt, a Gentile name in Africa. And it wasn't just one Alexandria. He had a number of Alexandrias he named, cities he named Alexandria all over the known world, the places where he conquered. You had Alexandria, Egypt up in the Himalaya mountains. That's where you bring in the story of Caesarion. That's where Cleopatra sent Caesarion to the monastery, the Alexandria up in the Himalaya mountains. That's where he was at for the 18 missing years. Okay, but yeah, they don't understand what has happened. Okay.
Right. Okay, because I was making sure that he wasn't trying to say that this was the actual land of the Rome of old, just saying that it was set up that way.
Oh no, yeah, that's what
Okay.
he was saying. That it was set up. I mean, you have to go back and watch it. I was gonna put it on put it on the video, bring it up on there, but he's showing you how the actual images of Lucifer, right?
Okay.
Look just like the Statue of Liberty.
Mm.
And that's why they're saying that the Statue of Liberty looked like a man. This dude got the actual pictures of from back in the day, what they had, the images they had of Lucifer looked like. And it looked like the Statue of Liberty. And then,
Wow.
oh yeah, and then another one, okay, on that Statue of Liberty, they were saying that it was they try to say it's first of all, it's a dude. But they were trying to say it was a woman with masculine features, right? And then they said it was originally a black woman, right?
Right.
Right, but the dude showing you on here, on this thing right here, they chained, right? It's how they chained us, put us in chains and brought us over here on slave ship.
Right.
So this Statue of Liberty got chains on his feet, but he chained to the floor, but the chains broke. So I just told you it's Lucifer. Didn't he tell them to bind all of them?
Right.
Yeah. With this on? Like
yes,
you said,
sir.
right in our face.
Wow.
In our face. They got all this stuff, but we don't have no understanding. Just like what they wrote in the New Testament. We going along with it because we ain't got no other understanding. We ain't got nothing to combat it. Okay. Make this something?
Because I didn't know about that. The chains on the feet and all of that.
Yeah, just check that video out. You got chains on there. It's the Statue of Liberty got chains on it. It's going up under the skirt she got on, but the chains coming from under there, and they actually bound to the on the image. It's bound to the floor, but the last link is broken. Right.
Right. That's not for no reason.
Right. That's Lucifer. He loose.
Right.
Right. This on?
All right.
This on? They brought him over here and let him loose. Okay, yeah. So with that being said, we'll pick a scripture. You got that channel, right?
Yes, sir. You said mine was 40, right?
Yeah, that was the one by David. I'm talking about the one before that.
Mine was Remnant Awakens.
Yeah, that's the crazy. Yeah, let me see. Now, founded Earth Brothers.
Okay, but Founded Earth Brothers.
Okay.
Okay, yes, sir. I got you.
So you got a precept scripture you want to read, and we'll break it down, close out.
Oh, yes, sir. I wanted to read that law you were talking about, Leviticus 25.
Okay.
Brother Leonard, if I could read 1 through 7, I might just 3 through 7, but and it says, and the Lord spake unto Moses in Mount Sinai, saying, speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, when you come into the land which I give you, when you come into the land which I give you, then shall the land keep a Sabbath unto the Lord. 6 years thou shalt sow thy field, and 6 years thou shalt prune thy vineyard, and gather in the fruit thereof. But in the 7th year shall be a Sabbath of rest unto the land, a Sabbath for the Lord. Thou shalt neither sow thy field nor prune thy vineyard. That which groweth of its own accord of thy harvest thou shalt not reap, neither gather the grapes of thy vine undressed, for it is a year of rest unto the land. And the Sabbath of the land shall be meat for you, for thee, and for thy servant, and for thy maid, and for thy hired servant, and for thy stranger that sojourneth with thee, and for thy cattle, and for the beasts that are in the land. All shall be the increase thereof be meat. And shalom. That was Leviticus 25 verses 1 through 7.
So when you saw how that was worded, that's a Sabbath to him.
Right.
So when you go back to Daniel 29 and 23 and 24, he said, "You sinned against me."
Mm-hmm.
See that?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's why they kicked out the land. Like I said, they performed the transgression first, which is in the past. Then to bring in righteousness and to recompense, they had to go and do the 70 years.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so that's how you understand. That's how you rightly divide that, and that's how they got jacked up in these last days. Because now you got it. You understand. You got to go back when you get to Daniel 9:25. You got to go find out where they who to find out who this Messiah they talking about. You got to go back. See what I'm saying? Oh
right.
Yeah. And that in itself, it eliminates JC. But
Yes.
they telling you to go forward because they got the book of Matthew sitting there waiting on you. Come on.
Right, yes, sir.
Come on, man. That's crazy. Yeah. Is there something?
Yes, sir.
Sure. So yeah, you got something else?
No, I was just gonna say that I want to. I was looking for it. I know it was in Leviticus. I had been looking for it, but yeah, I had wanted to get that on record because this the law right there, and you just pointed out, like you said, this is the Sabbath year is onto the Lord.
Right.
So sinning against the Lord of hosts.
Exactly. Is there something?
Right.
And another example, looking at that, the Lord didn't choose Saul, did he?
No, sir.
The people chosen, right?
Mm-hmm.
Look what happened to him. Look how he died.
Right.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
But the Lord told David, couldn't nobody put no hands on him.
Exactly.
See that? So you look at the same thing with this. Okay, yeah. Anyway, so with that being said, we don't have nothing else. We're gonna close this out. We got our Shabbat class in the morning. It's at 10 to 12 p.m. Central Time. Then we come back that evening and we close the Shabbat out from 6 to 7. So with that being said, I'm gonna say shalom to everybody. Shalom, shalom, and another shalom.
Shalom.
I highly recommend that you get this book and you read it because it's a must that you understand who God head is in the order that's in the Old Testament and Tanakh, because it's not the same as in the New Testament. And when you read this and you get an understanding, then the scriptures open up and then you begin to understand. So I highly recommend that you get this book. It's the Elohim of Israel, and it's a breakdown on the word Elohim and who the God of Israel is and the Godhead.